UIC. Freedom the people of need. Hell yeah. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in no tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we say.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV Live. This is Joseph Patterson, President of UIC Jamaica, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to yet again another program. Today we're going to be talking with some very important guests about the UIC JUMP program, which you've all been looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it as well. As much as I know about the program, I'm always excited to talk about the JUMP program. So let me just say welcome to all of you online. I know that there are many of you joining us from YouTube or Facebook or maybe even Instagram or Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to taking your questions and just giving you some updates on what we're doing, and just to talk with our guests about the UIC Jamaica JUMP program. As you know, JUMP stands for Jamaica Upliftment Monetary Program, and each of those terms will be explained in due course today. You also know that the world is going through a lot of challenges. We have inflation, which is taking a big bite out of our income. We have stagnation in salaries. We have just about a whole array of problems that are affecting the world, and in particular, Jamaica has always been a fragile economy because of 78 years of bad governance. And so with me in studio here today, and by studio I mean virtually, we have hopefully three exciting guests. I know we have Mr. Keith Romans from Texas, who will be on. We have Mr. Owen Aljo, who is from Florida, who will be on. And we're expecting Rosemary King joining us from London. There might be others as well, but those are our three primary guests today. So let me begin by opening it up and bringing those gentlemen in so they can help me to welcome you. I see many of you online already chiming in our commentary box. I see JMH, I see Errol Grant, I see, what is that now? It looks like Charity something. I see Daniel Layton and others. Welcome to all of you. So first up, Mr. Owen Aljo, how are you doing, sir?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are things over there in Florida?
Florida, so far so good. Good weather. We have the Formula One races this weekend.
Okay.
So it's a big weekend here in Miami.
Are you a racing fan?
Well, I do look at the races.
From time to time. Okay.
I don't participate, but I do.
Okay. Well, be careful. You don't bet what you can't afford to lose, eh?
That's right.
All right, let's welcome into the chat now Mr. Keith Romans from Texas. How are you doing, Keith?
I'm doing well, and I must take a time to really, express my sincere thanks to all the nurses who are listening. I'm a nurse myself. I did that because I'm a caring person, and I know how caring nurses are and how they are not recognized that much. But
wonderful. Is it because today is a special day for nurses?
It's Happy Nurses Week. It's Happy Nurses Week here. Yeah, here in the United States.
So Happy Nurses Week to all the nurses out there, whether you're in Texas or Florida or Jamaica or anywhere in the world. Please know that we honor and respect and appreciate you for the wonderful work that you do. Without nurses, many of us would not be here. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And Keith, for you being a male nurse and nothing to be ashamed of, because I don't know why anybody would want to think something is wrong with being a nurse because you're a male. It's like my father when I was young, he didn't want me to be an accountant because he said that was for females. So here we are today. Well, welcome to both of you gentlemen. I don't see Rosemary King yet. I hope she's able to join us very soon. So let's begin by allowing each of you gentlemen to just share a little bit about yourself. 30 seconds just to tell people who you are before we get into the main part of the program.
You want to go, Owen?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes. I'm currently residing in Florida, Miami in particular. Originally from Jamaica, from St. Anne. Born in Ocho Rios and grew up in Brownstown. Went to school, high school there, York Castle High School. And then after high school, I migrated to Florida, where I have been since. Went to college, Miami-Dade College. Went on to Florida International for my undergraduate, and Barry University for my master's degree, MBA, finance and accounting. And so that's pretty much where I have been since then. Worked extensively in government and in private enterprise. Currently in private consulting business across real estate, finance, management consulting. So quite an extensive background in the financial industry.
Wow. So we're very happy to have you on today, because you are you're one of the financial experts on this call, and I gather that you're a little younger than I am, so it means that you have more knowledge than me on the whole subject. So welcome again, Owen. Good to have you. We're having a big shower of rain here now, so I'm gonna have to raise my voice. But let's hear from Keith. Tell us about yourself, Keith.
So yes, I'm Keith Romans, and I was born in Westmoreland. I grew up in St. Elizabeth most of the part of the time. I didn't attend a high school because in Westmoreland, where I was born, Owen, and unfortunately we had one high school there, and your parents were poor, and my parents had 8 of us, so you know what that meant, right? So I just did not. And later on, I ended up going to a secondary school in Black River after my brother went to teach in that area, and I ended up going there. And I was so thrilled about school that I ended up passing the entrance to the Jamaica School of Agriculture, which was a very distinguished institution that there. So so that was like my first love. I did agriculture there. I graduated from the Jamaica School of Agriculture maybe over 30 years ago, and I went to work with Extension Service. So I have a fair idea about Extension Service. When I came here to the United States, I came to do agriculture, and they did not give me the scholarship to go on to veterinary school, so I actually got accepted there. But that's okay. I came back and I did nursing because I know there was a need for nursing. My wife then was a nurse, so I went back and did nursing, and that's how I ended up in nursing. I did graduated. I did my graduate course. I did masters in education, and also I had when I went back to nursing school, I went back and did another BS in nursing, and from I was back home, I had an entrepreneurial spirit, so I knew that I had to do something. Once I became a nurse, I actually went and got experience in all the areas of nursing until I found a niche. And so I actually settled in this niche, started a business, and I've been affiliated with a number of nurses organizations here in Houston. In fact, my wife, who is also a nurse, actually, she dragged me to join the Fort Bend Nurses Association. And last year, a couple of years ago, I was rubbing shoulder with the National Nurse Association president, and I was so honored. And in the same year, in 2018, I was also I also elected to be given the honor of being the Nurse Entrepreneur of the Year of all the Black nurses in the nation. So 2018. So I'm just humbled by that. And in the meantime, I have a business that we help people, and that's my passion. Back to this, how I came with Mr. Patterson. This is something I thought about years ago, because I know that whoever I am right now, Jamaica was responsible for that. And I know there's a lot of people in the diaspora who will tell you the same thing. And you know, I got education there. The culture itself is so unique, and just about everything about Jamaicans. And people always look at us as being different. You know what I mean? Good, in a good way. And so I said, what can I do for my country? I look at what is happening there. We've been sending money to Jamaica every year, and all of us been sending money, and it's like it's melting away. $3.3 billion a year was the last thing, but it hasn't really helped the poor people. So when I met Mr. Patterson and we started talking about his vision for Jamaica, he's also a true son of the diaspora with a heart for his home country. So we share so much in common. And we also share the common bond of wanting to do politics, to do election a different way, governance a different way, because we realize that the type of governance we have there separate the people. Where the people there are self-imposed tribalism, are separatism, and people fight against each other, and then it breeds a lot of opportunities for those people who want to sell us guns. They were at one stage supplying guns to both set of people, and we're killing ourselves there. And I'm like, why are we doing that? But with Mr. Patterson's vision, and I just want to implore everybody to go to the UICJamaica.com and read. They read it. Jamaicans don't read. We need to read it. Everybody read that will want to be a part of this. And then the sweet spot for this evening, which I can't wait for us to discuss, is the JUMP program, which is going to help us not only to solve our economic problem for the poor, but it's going to be a part of a partnership that will bring Jamaicans together so we can solve all their problems in their community. And we'll talk about that later, man. I'm so excited about it. It will solve crime, treat their larceny. It will bring the people together. It will also empower people instead of getting people used to handouts. Because that's one of the big things that big setback that we have there. Everybody's holding their hands open. Can I get? Can I get? But guess what? It's gone. I'm sorry, sir. That's 30 seconds. Yeah, you're muted.
Muted.
You're muted.
I was saying it's a good thing you went after Mr. Aljo's, because if you didn't, he wouldn't have any time. But no, that was good though. Mr. Roman, you gave a very good, I love your backstory, and I also love your commitment and drive for the UIC movement. You're a true patriot, sir. And I just want to give Owen a chance, because I think you have now indicated how you became a part of the UIC. I want to give Owen a chance, to say the same thing. Tell us, Mr. Aljo, what led you to the UIC, what attracted you to it, and what are your thoughts on where we're heading?
Right. Well, I've had the opportunity to read the 10-point plan and all of the documentation behind the UIC. Familiarize myself with all of those documents. I'm truly impressed with all of the information that flowed. And when I looked at and compare what I was reading and what I was seeing compared to the other two organizations, it was like cheese to chop in Jamaican parlance, right?
Yeah.
So there is no doubt in my mind that this is an organization that I had to become a part of. Try to move this forward and expose it more to everyone in Jamaica, so they are a lot more familiar with the UIC, what they stand for, and what they can do for them, and what in turn they can do for Jamaica under the program that the UIC will be putting forward. Yeah, so it was an enlightened.
Wonderful. And I understand, Mr. Aljo, that you are a member of the finance committee of the UIC. So you are a very important man because you're seeing behind the scenes. You see how our money comes and how our money goes. Right now, we're in the throes of an audit, trying to get our audit done. That was due, I think it was due back in April, but we had an extension to have it done by the end of this month. Thanks to the ECJ, they actually, I was surprised that they were kind enough to give us an extension. But as a person behind the scenes, seeing the finances, how do you feel about the UIC?
I think the UIC is very transparent. I mean, everything is above board. We have all the checks and balances in place. So as we've gone through the transaction, some of the transaction today along with my brother, who is also on the finance committee, Gary. And so we really went through there with right. Trying to remember the name, but yes. So, but we got through.
Williams, yeah, Naika Williams.
Right, correct. Right. So
Yes,
we went through the whole process and validated some of the transactions, and everything was quite good. So we are impressed with that as well. So.
Can I say something real quick, Mr. Patterson?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Romans. Go ahead,
One of the things that I evaluated Mr. Patterson on, Mr. Owen, his authenticity and his standard. He started from the beginning and said no handout. And he also has a standard where sometimes he seems a little bit really heavy-handed, but that's how leaders are to be. Because if you don't do it that way, especially in Jamaica right now, if you don't do it that way, then people are going to take advantage, they're going to play games. And of course, myself being a CEO of a company and dealing with people, I know that you have to set boundaries and you have to set standards. And of course, as long as they're transparent and everybody can see, you can have the people doing their audits. And man, I like that authenticity, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond. Speaking about authenticity, I see our very first treasurer is on the line, Mr. Craig McKenzie. Welcome, Craig. I see Lion Rule, the Jungle, is also on, one of our very, very popular followers, as well as Angela Henry. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for being on. Again, everyone, the topic for this evening is JUMP, Jamaica Upliftment Monetary Program, which includes the Community Capital Club. We'll be talking about that now. Gentlemen, I'm going to excuse you from the front page for a few minutes while I do a presentation on the JUMP. Then I'll invite you all back in for a discussion at the end of it. Okay, so thanks again for your initial introduction and see you in a few minutes, all right? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're now going to look at the JUMP program in a little bit more detail, still high level, introductory, but I want you to get a good feel for it so you can ask any questions you may have. The JUMP program is built on the idea that if we don't formulate capital and use that capital at the grassroots level to lift up the Jamaican people, then there will forever be a master slave economy with a few rich people controlling 90% of the wealth and the vast majority of Jamaicans remaining financially impoverished or financially insecure. So what you're about to see is a high-level presentation that will put some context around where we're coming from and then tell you where we're going. It's by no means exhaustive. It's very introductory, just to help us get the questions going. So let's begin. I'm going to use this PowerPoint presentation as the first step to explaining the JUMP program to you. So the program is called JUMP. And there's a rain going on right now, so I'm going to try to raise my voice. JUMP stands for Jamaica Upliftment Monetary Program, and the JUMP includes a collection of community capital clubs across the country, all 14 parishes, all 63 constituencies, all 228 electoral divisions will have at least one community capital club under the JUMP program. The focus of the club is really to teach and incubate lending, borrowing, and earning in a group learning environment, a group lending environment, a group borrowing environment, a group earning environment. And the ultimate purpose is to set people free. Because if you're not financially free, you're not really free. And so it's time to be free. And the JUMP program is going to help Jamaicans to achieve their freedom. We all know that the UIC is a liberation movement. We want to free the Jamaican people from the clutches of the colonial masters, from the clutches of the PSOJ oligarchs, from the clutches of anyone or any group that wants to oppress and suppress the Jamaican people and to divide them and distract them while extracting their wealth. So it's very important that we have a program like this, which will bring financial independence to our people at the grassroots level. If we can grow the bottom of the economy, all those persons who are struggling financially, if we can help them to overcome the economic burden, the economic challenge that they've been placed under, then we can release the entire country and make Jamaica a prosperous nation overall. Now, a part of any program or any presentation is you have to kind of learn something about the presenter. Now, many of you may know me already, but I'm going to share a little bit about myself again for those who don't know me fully. So I was born on August 2nd, 1971 in Kingston, Jamaica. I am currently the leader and the president of UIC Jamaica. I've been married to the same lady, Charlotte Masada, for 27 years. We have 3 lovely young adult children. I have over 25 years experience in business, leadership, and finance. And I have worked with more than 120 different countries, impacting their own development in various ways. I've been involved in a lot of international development work. One of the latest being chairman of the board for Oil Credit International, which oversaw a portfolio in Jamaican terms, about $146 billion invested in more than 70 different countries, by accumulating some 25,000 different investors internationally, primarily coming from Europe, of course. Now, I have served in a number of capacities, from financial controller to director of finance, VP of finance, CFO, CEO, and chairman for a number of companies across different sectors: public sector, private sector, non-profit, NGOs. One of them being Yes Jamaica, where I'm the founder and president. Yes Jamaica focuses on helping young people to become entrepreneurs as a way of escaping the high unemployment rate and escaping poverty and escaping crime here in Jamaica. I'm a CPA, which stands for Chartered Professional Accountant. So I know the numbers. I understand business very much from a financial standpoint and from an operational standpoint. Some people know me as a social entrepreneur because I mix entrepreneurship with social ventures, meaning you're not just trying to make a profit, you're trying to also generate a social return in society by impacting the lives of individuals in ways that a company that's focused purely on profit might not. A profit motive company may simply try to extract from the society and leave. A socially responsible company tries to leave the society better than it found it. And so that's where I kind of come in as a social entrepreneur. I'm also a farmer. Many of you may know about Bee Sweet Jamaica, which is our honey making business where we produce natural organic honey here in Jamaica and we export it around the world. Many of you know me as a good governance advocate because of the work that I do for the UIC movement, where the UIC is really about good governance. It's about helping Jamaica to find the right model of government that will ensure proper checks and balances, ensure our tax dollars are spent properly so we get value for money, ensure that our school system actually works to help our students to succeed, not just financially, but succeed as individuals, as family members, as members of a society, fixing our healthcare system so that it actually works and actually provides quality care for all Jamaicans, regardless of their income level. And we want to make sure that we have a society that's safe, that's clean, that's orderly, a society that brings out the best in all of us. And so my good governance work is seen in that light. But let's move on now to the program itself. Before I get into the details of the program, it's very important for you to understand some basic factors of life that affects everyone. All of us, whether we like it or not, will go through changes. Change is not an option. Change will happen whether you like it or not. We're born, we grow old, and we die. That's a cycle of change. You're going to, go through life whether you want to or not. You can't be a baby forever. You can't be a young adult forever. You can't be a senior forever. Your life will constantly change, and the key question is, are you prepared to deal with those changes? We can try to resist change, but we cannot stop change from happening. Technology is a big part of the change we're faced with today. In fact, we've always been faced with technological changes. It's been going on forever. From the moment that mankind existed on the earth, he has been going through changes, not just biological changes, but he has been changing the environment around him. He learned to walk, then he learned to ride a bike, then he learned to create a motorbike, he learned to sail, he learned to drive a car. We have flown in planes, we have sent rockets to space. We have learned to develop language, to talk to each other. Then we have developed technology to take advantage of radio waves to send our voices over very long distances. We developed technology to be able to send pictures, motion pictures, long distances in the form of movies and sitcoms. We developed landline technologies for phone call. Then we emerged into cell phones, then into smartphones. We not only learned to read, but we learned to read and create newspapers and create internet where we can surf, to send text messages and email messages, creating blogs. Now we have social media, Twitter, WhatsApp. We learned to play football and soccer and rugby and track and field, and eventually to board games and video games and phone games. And now we have all of these changes that are transforming our lives. Now, Jamaica, while we use all of these technologies, our politics and our economics have remained pretty dormant, and I'll tell you why in a bit. But this has hurt us tremendously. While the world is changing very fast and dramatically, we in Jamaica, in some key areas of development, have remained very stagnant, particularly in our schooling system. Our education system is very, very outdated. It is leaving many of our children, our families, and a big sector of our economy behind because we're failing to change with the times effectively. AI, which stands for artificial intelligence and robotics, rule the day today. If you're not using AI in your country, in your economy, you're behind. If you're not using robotics, you're behind. It means that you won't be able to compete with the rest of the world effectively in terms of exporting. Jamaica has relied heavily on tourism because it's a heavy service sector. We have not developed the brains of our people, the intellect of our people, the knowledge capacity of our people. So even where you have simple jobs like outsourcing, Jamaica, which is just next door to the US, is lagging tremendously behind in being able to take on even a thing like outsourcing of business services. You have countries like India, which is much further away from the US, and because of the technology, they're able to take jobs that could have been here in Jamaica because we have not developed the brains of our people effectively. Back in the days of slavery, what was important was your muscles, your ability to pull and to cut and to carry heavy load. Today, brains is more important than brawn. And unfortunately, we still have a deficit of brain development here in Jamaica. This doesn't apply to every Jamaican because you're always going to have anomalies. You're always going to have people who step out of the box, if you will. I was one of those. So even though I was a failure in the early part of the education system, very soon by the midpoint, I figured out how to step out of the box. One of the way I did that was instead of depending on my teachers to teach me, I decided to learn to teach myself. So I went to Piccadilly Road, bought my syllabuses, set my timetables. For example, I passed physics and math and stuff, a year or two earlier than the other students in the school because I set my own pace. I was not being driven by the system anymore. I was being driven by my own desire to succeed and to achieve. So society has changed a lot. We have two gentlemen here on this call who are a bit older than me, so they've seen a different world that I have seen in recent times. But one thing is sure, job security is becoming less and less. Benefits are becoming less and less. Here in Jamaica, you have a very big contract market where employers are no longer taking you on as an employee. They're putting you on contract, no benefits, and so on. Now, we can try to fight that. We can try to fight it and say, let's get the government to change the rules. But all it's going to do is shift more and more jobs overseas, because we're shifting into a new kind of work mode now where less people are going to be in the offices. More people are going to be kind of freelance workers working for many different companies as opposed to working for one company from cradle to grave. That kind of existence is fast disappearing. So the pension plans, we move from something we used to call defined benefits, where you join a company and they have a pension plan, it's defined, and it says when you work for us for 20, 30 years, we're going to give you this defined benefit that's going to make sure you are fully protected and covered financially for the rest of your life. That's gone. There's still a few hanging on in like the public sector and so on, but for the most part, those kind of pensions are gone. Now they have what is called defined contribution, where the company just puts some money in, you put some money in, and then it's up to you how that money is managed, which is difficult because for the most part, you are not skilled enough. You weren't trained effectively by your government in your government school to know how to be an effective investor. So you are now being faced with, and many of you know what I'm talking about if you've worked for the last 20 years, you now are faced with managing a portfolio. Many of you just put the money into these funds, whether it's the 401k in the US or the RRSP in Canada or the nothing here in Jamaica. You just put some money in and you hope for the best for the most part. I might talk about a balanced fund or so on. But the truth is, you're blind. You don't understand how to invest effectively. Most people don't. You don't understand investing. You don't understand markets. You don't understand the analysis necessary. And so you're out in the cold because the education system did not prepare you for it. So in a sense, you're like the horse. The horse for generation was one of the key ways in which man was able to move around. Yes, he used to walk and run, and he eventually discovered using the horse. That spawned a whole new industry, like blacksmith, making the horseshoe saddles, for riding the horse a little bit more comfortably and to be more secure on the horse. Bridles, all these things were a part of an industry. But then came the car, the Model T, and subsequent inventions and improvement in cars and rail transportation. Then the horse became obsolete, completely obsolete. No, the blacksmith who made horseshoe, no longer important. And so don't be like the horse. You don't want to become static in your thinking. You don't want to become static in your ability to adjust to market changes. So this JUMP program has a lot to do with educating you how to respond to market changes. So let's be open to change. Artificial intelligence and robotics mean there will be less jobs, less of the kind of jobs that you and I and your parents and grandparents were used to. Those jobs are going to decline, or the shape in which they are formed will be very different. For example, you will not have a regular full-time job. You'll now be working 6 or 7 different customers in maybe the space that you're in. Less jobs means more job seekers than jobs. And when you have more job seekers than jobs, the price of jobs are going to come down. So your wages are going to be declining because there are less jobs. So for example, if many of us want jobs as living helpers, and there are more supply of persons wanting to be living helpers than the need for living helpers, then the price of living helpers are going to go down. The same for gardeners. If you're on a street, let's say in Santa Cruz, and there are 3 or 4 persons selling on the street, they'll be able to get good business. If that number increases tremendously, and now you have a lot of people selling on the streets, then business will become harder because the same customers are being served by a lot more. So you have to be prepared to change your mind about it and recognizing the need of us using technology in ways that we have not been trained in school to do. So you have to become a business. Even if you're an employee today, I want to encourage you to become an entrepreneur in your thinking. Start thinking like an entrepreneur. Drop the idea of being simply an employee, even if you are an employee. Get that employee mindset out of your mind and start looking at how do I, as an employee, become more entrepreneurial in my thinking that I'll make myself less vulnerable and more in demand by not just my current employer, but by other employers, and also make myself flexible so that maybe I can work for even more than one employers from home and so on. We almost become entrepreneurs again. And I use the word again because in the past, before this model of economy, the economy we had many, many years ago in history was every family was an entrepreneurial unit, an economic unit where mother and father and the kids were involved in a economic enterprise. They were working as a team. In most cases, they had a little plot of land that they were farming. Then they specialized in certain skill. Maybe the dad was let's say a blacksmith. Maybe the mother was a seamstress or dressmaker, or she maybe made cloth. Whatever it is, they had a family enterprise, and so they were not locked into an employment setting where they had one customer, and if they lost the one customer, their lives were completely destroyed and they were at the mercy of the banks and so on. That wasn't the case in the past. Today, we have been cultured to no longer be an entrepreneurial, but to become employee mindset. And nothing is wrong, remember, with being an employee. I'm just saying you need to fix that mindset because it can destroy you, and it has destroyed a lot of people. So you want to have multiple customers if possible and not just one. That's not easy if you're a full-time employee, but it's time for you to start thinking outside of that box. And the JUMP program will help you to do that with our training program. You want to also shift your attitude from, I have found in my experience, many Jamaicans believe they get paid for showing up at work. They show up to work, and because they were there for 8 hours, they deserve to be paid. I want you to shift that mindset to value-driven mindset, trading value for value. That's how you're going to be very effective in this new model of the economy. You need to focus on what value am I able to bring to the marketplace? How valuable is what I'm doing to the marketplace? Do I add value to people's lives? For example, if you're in the music business, if people do not like your music, then you're not adding value, right? If they like your music, for them, it is value. To me, I may not like your music, but if other people like it, then you have found your market, you have found your niche, right? A carpenter, if you're getting less and less customers because the quality of your furniture is not keeping up with other furniture makers, then you're not adding enough value to society. If you're a programmer, are you designing programs that transform people's lives like Facebook did or like Twitter has done? So focus on the value that you're offering to society and not the job. Don't come asking people for a job. Tell people what value you can offer them, what value you can give them in exchange for their money, and your life will be improved. The more we focus on trading value for value, is the richer our society is. Just imagine if every single one of us, all 2 million or so of us who are in the workforce today, were value driven and we're offering value, Jamaica's economy would just go through the roof. But many of us are not value driven, we're scamming driven. We're trying to get something for nothing. And because we're trying to get something for nothing, we don't add value, and then people can't add value back to us. And the value of Jamaica remains low. Now, of course, this is coming from the top down. If the top is very corrupt, then of course this corruption trickles down. And that's where the UIC comes in, because My mission and vision, and that of the UIC, is to make Jamaica a values-driven country again, where people do good workmanship, where people really make a difference in a positive way in people's lives. And that is why politics matters. If you don't have a good political system, it can destroy the integrity and morality of a nation and bring it down to ashes. And that's what you're seeing in Jamaica right now. We're being brought down to ashes by poor governance, by bad governance, by leaders who lack the integrity, lack the morality, lack the ethics, which would lift the Jamaican people and build our economy and make us, a strong nation. So again, let's get rid of the employee mindset and shift to the entrepreneur mindset, because the entrepreneur mindset, believe it or not, is less risky. I know you're told that being an employee is less risky than being an entrepreneur. That's not true. Entrepreneurs are bright people, smart people who understand markets, understand customers, understand building strong relationships, understand giving value for value, and they're therefore in a better position to bounce back from any form of economic shock. Employees, on the other hand, become dependent persons who, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing employees, I'm talking about the employee mindset. You can be an employee and have an entrepreneur mindset. If you have the employee mindset, it makes you weak and dependent on one single customer. And when that customer lets you go, you're in a very vulnerable position. But if you have an entrepreneur mindset, you're prepared to deal with any eventuality. So I want to talk to you quickly about the dynamics of the wealth situation in Jamaica and around the world. In almost every country in the world, 10% controls 90% of the wealth. It's not unique to Jamaica. It's a system of monetary corruption, through our banking system, through our education system, through our political system, which concentrates wealth in the hands of a few. It's by design. You and I have been tricked. We have been duped. We have been shafted by the very government we thought was there to protect us, and they're not. They're there. Our government is there to protect the interests of the rich, and they do a very good job of it. But you can begin to change your own life by changing your own thinking. Think like the 10%, or you're going to lose. So the 10% does something which many of us never learned to do. I learned it very late in life, and it has worked very well for me, and it can work for anybody. Is to save 10% or more of your income and never spend that 10%. You save it for eternity. What you do with that 10% is you then invest that 10%. Never spend it on food and clothes and entertainment. You must always invest that 10% to make more money on your 10%. That's called investing, right? So you invest, you get a return. When you get that return, you save 10% of that return, and then you can eat the other 90% if you wish. That's fine. Or you can do like the rich people and save even more and more and more. But just to keep it simple, if you save 10% of everything you earn for your entire life cycle, right? Of course, if you're older today, you can't, it's too late to do it for a long life cycle, but I'm talking to all of us. And so wherever you are in your own development, you can choose now. But this is what has worked for many wealthy people that they don't tell you. They always save, you'll find this in The Richest Man of Babylon. It's a wonderful book I recommend for you to read. Save 10% of your income and then invest that 10%. And whatever return you get from that, you save 10% of that as well. At a minimum, you can save 20 if you want, or 30 if you want, whatever works for you. But at a minimum, save 10%. Now, another thing that rich people do, or people who want to become rich or wealthy do, that poor people do not do, they buy more assets than liabilities. And what do I mean by that? An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. So if you have something in your life that continuously takes money away from you, that's a liability. If you have something in your life that continues to give money to you, that's an asset. So your employer is an asset if they keep giving you money, for what you're doing. Now, if you have a passive asset that you're not actively managing and it's giving you money, that's even better. That's called passive income. But the bottom line is, people who are wealthy or who want to become wealthy buy assets, things that will give them a return. So for example, you can buy a car. A car can be an asset or a liability. If your car is helping you to make an income, it's an asset. If your car is there, maybe it's a nice car, maybe, for example, I see some young people buying a Benz or a really expensive car. So the maintenance is very high, the insurance is very high. So in effect, it takes more money away from them than it might help them to bring. That's not a very wise investment. A smarter young person may buy a vehicle that doesn't look, if you see the vehicle I drive this little piece of, La Festa, and you're like, my God, what is Mr. Patterson doing with that? Well, that vehicle cost me nothing. In fact, I never borrowed any money to buy it. It cost me very little to maintain it. It does very well with gas. So I save more money driving a vehicle that you think I shouldn't be driving than if I were to buy a more expensive vehicle that you might like to see me in, but it's taking more money out of my pocket. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, he drove the same car for about 25 years. He lived in the same little house, even though he got millions of dollars. He lived in the same house all his life. I'm not telling you need to do that. If you have earned enough money and you want to buy something bigger and better, that's your right, it's your choice. But I'm just saying, please think about your financial decisions differently from the way that you might have been taught by watching your parents or by watching your neighbors or your friends. It's about time you start focusing on buying assets, things that will add value to your lives, and liabilities, things going to take value away from you. These are lessons you're going to learn in the JUMP program, and much more than this. I'm just giving you a bit of a taste as to how the JUMP program is going to work. Rich people also borrow to invest. And when I say rich people, I don't mean people who are filthy rich only. Even you, if you're trying to become wealthy, if you're trying to become financially independent, you're trying to become financially secure, you're going to borrow to invest, never to consume. Poor people tend to borrow to consume. They put a burger, they put Kentucky, they put a piece of furniture on their credit card if they have one, or on a credit plan. So what they end up doing is spending far more on that piece of furniture or that piece of food than they otherwise would, because now they're paying interest, and sometimes exorbitant interest on this expenditure. So again, rich people or people who want to be rich and wealthy and healthy borrow to invest. Poor people or people who want to look rich borrow to consume. So they borrow to buy a house that's bigger than they want. Take, for example, many returning residents to Jamaica. They're returning, they're coming back here in their 60s. And guess what they do? They build a very, very big house, 10, 15 bedrooms, all with their own bathrooms, beautiful tiles, wonderful chandeliers, very, very expensive. Now that's very unwise, right? Because now they have to maintain this very big house. They have now locked up significant capital in this house. What if they bought a house that's well suited for their size? You don't have the family anymore, 5 kids or 4 kids or 3 kids. It's just the two of you and your wife now. Why do you need such a big house? Why not buy a smaller home that is very comfortable, very relaxing, meets all of your needs? It has the one beautiful bedroom you need, lovely bathroom, lovely kitchen, nice patio, whatever. You can have a lovely home that is a bungalow. It doesn't have to be several stairs up. You're getting it old and it's difficult to walk up all those stairs. You could have been smarter and built a reasonable sized home and invest the difference in something that's going to bring you an income. So when you come here, you can actually live here. I know I'm giving you some free information here, but this is the kind of thinking that the JUMP program is going to lead many persons to take. It's very important that you understand money, you understand law, and you understand politics. I'm not saying you need to get a law degree or a political science degree, no, or an economics degree. If you're going to manage life and money effectively, you need to have a certain understanding of money, of law, and politics. And that's what the rich do. That's why they control 90% of the wealth, and the rest of us subsist on only 10%. Now, the big reason we have this gap between the 10% and the 90%, some people talk about the 1%, those are the really super rich. I'm expanding it to 10%. Those who might not be super rich, but they're rich enough. One of the reasons why so many of us are in the 90% pool that are not among the 10% is because of our government schooling. I mentioned this earlier on. Government schooling is tricky. I know you might feel good about your government school. Like you, I went to government school as well. I went to Spanish Town Secondary, and then St. Andrew Technical High School, and then to UTech, and then I went to the University of Calgary and all of that kind of stuff. So we're all in the same boat here. But some of us do take a different, tact. We kind of learn how to escape some of the traps that were set for us. And government school is a trap. It's meant to program us. It's meant to program you to think a particular way and to live your life a particular way so that you ensure that you help the 10% to become wealthy and for you to be outside of that bubble and to be less endowed financially. That's what government school does. Don't get me wrong, you learn some good mathematics, you learn some good English, you learn some science and so on, but you need to understand that the purpose of government school was to create little minions to work for the rich and powerful. Your government school is not designed for you to become rich and powerful. It's not designed for you to know what you need to know so that you're not tricked by the rich and powerful. And that is why for 78 years, the two colonial parties working on behalf of the PSOJ oligarchs or elites, together with the colonial masters, have been able to consistently trick us the way that they have, simply because of our schooling, plus the use of the media to further control our thinking. So you can't trust the media, you can't trust government school. Who do you trust? Well, for me, I had to read widely. I had to read way outside of the designated reading material. I had to go to the library and get reference books. I used to have a teacher. She used to give me reference books when I was at Spanish Town Sec because I wasn't, I was bored of class, and so she would give me some reference books. She said, Joseph, nobody is using these, and so she would give me one or two of the reference books, and I would, use it and learn from there. So government school is tricky. So we have to learn now to focus on getting out of the mindset that drives us towards a job and consumption, You need now to learn how to invest, how to save and invest. Most people no longer save because there's no incentive in saving, because Jamaica suffers from huge inflationary problem, not just now. Our dollar is always devaluing. So if you save in Jamaican dollars, you're normally losing, right? So it's always devaluing. And inflation is always wiping out your purchasing power. So the very financial system of Jamaica is built on a fraudulent model, which is tied into the global financial model, which is designed to extract the wealth of poor countries and poor people and struggling people, even in their own countries. So even if you're in America or you're in Canada or Britain, the system is stacked against you. Yes, you can have a better quality of life than in Jamaica, but it's stacked against to make sure that you don't get too far up the ladder before a rung is cut out from under you, So government school doesn't teach you how to think and how to invest to be financially free. So you have to learn that. And the UIC, the JUMP program, is designed to do just that. Ensure that you get into the learning business. Free education has proven to be very, very expensive. I know it was lovely when they told you about it politically, and it has helped a lot of people. Free education has given a lot of people an opportunity to become lawyers and doctors and Indian chief. But the truth is, it has also been very destructive because of its design. The UIC has a very different educational model, which protects the poor, making sure you can get your education all the way up to the PhD. But it changes the way the program is run to ensure that you understand yourself, you understand how to build great relationships, marital, friend, business, how money works and how to use money effectively. So we're going to reverse the problem that you've seen for the last 78 years here in Jamaica, and we're going to become a model for the rest of the world as well. So it's very important that we get something off the table right away, because in our Sunday school class and in our families and maybe even in the media, you're taught that money is evil. Well, money is not good or evil. Money is neutral. Money is just a tool, but money buys freedom. Yeah. For example, if you have a lot of money, you're not as restricted as people who don't have a lot of money. So money buys freedom. Money buys education. Money buys health. Money buys clothing and housing. Money buys vacations. Money buys enjoyment. Some may even say money buys love. I'm not too sure about that. But the bottom line is that money is not evil. Money can be used for good as well as for evil. It can be used wisely or foolishly. So you need to learn and understand money and how it works. One of the tricks in the whole monetary equation is that poor people work for money, while rich people learn how to make money work for them. The JUMP program is going to help poor people to let money work for them for a change. So we're going to change the equation. But of course, you have to be willing to change. So here's a big summary of the JUMP program. In summary, the JUMP program is going to cause personal and professional development. Within this program, you're going to get a chance to learn things that you never learned before. We're going to teach you economics in layman terms. We're going to teach you business in layman's terms. We're going to teach you self-development in layman terms, in practical, everyday way through our community capital clubs. It will be an opportunity for social and business networking. So you're talking about networking locally and networking with brilliant Jamaicans overseas as we get together in our clubs, in our different communities, right? It's going to be a club like none other, because it's going to be very practical and very focused on results. Every week you get to meet with your peers. You're talking about what you have achieved as a club and as individuals. You're talking about your business and getting new leads for new opportunities. If you're in the job market, you're getting access and opportunities to new jobs that are coming up. We're going to build our own structure of lifting our people out of the. So when you join a club, you're stepping out of whatever it is you're in right now and into a very new environment of creating wealth that is both collective and individual. Yeah. So there will be a financial return as well as a social return. How do you define those? Financial return is what you get back in terms of money, and social returns is the impact you have on society, how you have lifted up others because of your engagement in this transformative organization. It's an investment opportunity. Many of you don't know where to invest your money, what to do with it. This is an opportunity to invest in yourself, invest in your country, invest in your community, and make something of it. Just today, I was out by Santa Cruz. I stopped by a gentleman who wanted me to stop under a tree where they kind of have an unofficial Congress, every day. And so I stopped by today for the first time, and we were just talking about a number of stuff. And one of the things that jumped out at me was the fact that this gentleman and the lady that was beside him, they've been looking for help for so long from their political representative. They were promised things and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, can we move beyond that? Can we move to, instead of getting promises from our politicians and waiting for them to deliver, we deliver. We create something that generates returns that allows us to address our own needs and become less dependent and less reliant on politicians and more self-reliant. I think that's something that we really need to strive for. Others have said it before. We need to mean it and make it happen. So we're going to have a financial return, a social return. It's an investment opportunity. We're going to offer affordable loans. Since because we're not a bank and we're not doing things the way banks do it, we're not going to be able to give affordable loans to our members to be able to improve themselves, improve their lives, improve their small businesses. At the same time, we're shaping the community, we're building community spirit. And Mr. Romans will talk more about this, the community and security, because our community capital clubs are going to become community security clubs as well. We're going to be security for each other, looking out for each other. If you're overseas and coming down, you're going to have a base that's now going to be looking out for you and helping to protect you from those who are criminals who want to take what doesn't belong to them. So that's a high-level summary of what the JUMP program will achieve. At a more granular level, the program is designed for every member to invest a minimum of 500 Jamaican dollars a week, which is a very small amount. So you can invest $500 or more to be a member of the club. And these funds are then pooled and used to build a capital base to give these low interest loans to our members. These loans, of course, are going to generate a profit. Once we're giving loans at interest, a profit is going to be produced. That profit is going to be given back to the members, just like a credit union, except that we're not a credit union, we're not a bank. We are a benefit that we offer to the members of the UIC. And it has to be for the members of the UIC because of the regulations that the government have in place. They try very hard to stop poor people from putting together anything, right? So there's lots of regulations. They're designed to protect the big banks from small business and from the small man. So they want to keep the small man down. So they keep having laws and rules to make it very difficult. For example, I could not give you any financial advice. If I do that, it's against the law. For me to give you financial advice, I would need to apply for their license. And to apply for their license, I would need to do their prescribed courses. And then I need to tell you what their courses say I should tell you. So I can only advise you to do what the big companies want you to do. If I tell you anything else, then I would have broken the law and they can throw me into jail. So that's how they design regulations. So they tell you nice words that they want to protect you, but the truth is what they're doing, all the laws and regulations are there to protect the big banks and the big businesses and to as much as possible stamp out and prevent the small man from creating any form of solution for himself other than looking for a job from the big masters, right? So anyways, in our program, 65% of profits will go back to members, 15% will go to the UIC operations, 15% will go to paying staff and operations costs of the program, and 5% will go to paying the board members for overseeing the proper running of the program, making sure that you have proper audits, proper checks and balances, and that the loan dispersal process is proper and all that kind of stuff. So I know I've gone very fast, but there'll be time now for discussion and questions. So the rules, what are the ground rules? Very simple. You must be a UIC member to participate, again, because of the regulations. You must contribute 500 or more per week. You can pay it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. You may borrow after 6 months. You may withdraw 18 months, or you can just take portions and leave the rest, or whatever works for you. Annual profit shared, as I said before, 65% of all profits are given back to members. Diaspora members are investors. You have lots of people in diaspora who have longed for a way to contribute to Jamaica. This is it. So they're going to be able to invest. The beauty of it is, so far when they send money home, it's a gift. It's a charitable donation. They'll never see that money again. But in the JUMP program, that money remains theirs forever because they're not giving it away. They invested in the program by lending it to the club. The club uses it over and over, investing in the man making his coal, or the lady who is building or sewing business, or the person who's making his software program, and then they get a return on it and they can reinvest it as long as they want. When they come back to Jamaica, they can take it, or if they want it to be taken and sent to them. But diaspora members are now going to be able to invest directly in the community of their choice. So whether you're from Bethel Town, or you're from Denham Town, or you're from Aunton Court in Hannibal, or wherever you are from, wherever it is, maybe Mapen in Clarendon, or you know, White House in Westmoreland, wherever it is, you become a part of the club of your choice as a diaspora member, wherever you want to be, and you contribute to that. Now, all of this is managed centrally. So even though the funds come in and it's earmarked for the particular club that you're in, the funds are not given out like that. It's kept in head office, central head office. The club itself makes their own records and compare it with the head office records. When they're ready to invest in something, they look at it, they approve the investment, whichever small business they're investing in. All of the documentation comes to the head office team to verify that everything is checked out properly. Then the investment is authorized, the loan to whatever member to do whatever project a group of member may be doing or one member may be doing. And then it is monitored, repayments are collected, and then the profits are dispersed back to the members over the course of the process. There are weekly reports on our performance, monthly reports, and annual statements that are audited. And again, as I said before, we will have a professional board, people like Gary and Owen Alshaw and Mr. Romans and others who will sit on these boards as oversight directors to make sure that everything is going well and proper. A quick one. Now we're going to turn to questions and discussions. And thank you so much for your patience on that. So let me now welcome back to the studio my good friends, Mr. Owen Alshaw and Mr. Romans. Do we have, I don't know, Winston is here too. Winston, you can join us if you can. Did we get Rosemary? I don't see Rosemary on. But welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Who wants to go first?
I'll let the expert go first. You know, he's a financial guy. I'm from the practical. I get the business going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's a financial guy, so we have to defer to him. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think the program, as outlined, is a very good program. At least from the ground up, it pulls you up by the shoestring, so to speak. So unlike other programs where you have to already have it made in order to benefit. This one is actually creating that value for you to add on and build on to create a better outlook for yourself and your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. Basically.
So we're forming capital, which is a good point you're making. We're forming the capital. We're not just having our hand out saying to other people, give us some money. We are forming the capital ourselves, locally and through the diaspora. Wonderful point. Please continue.
Absolutely. And in adding to the point you're making about value, very, very critically important, because that is what changes society. It's a value that you add to it. Otherwise, you can take away, you can degrade it, by different type of business. It can affect your environment. So it affects the environment and it actually degrades your quality of life. So the value is very important. You're adding value, meaning that you're making life better for all. And that's a very, very important point.
You remind me of something, Mr. Aljo. Back in the 70s, Michael Manley created a program where it was called Land Lease, where he gave people land and he gave them seeds and he gave them tractors and all kinds of stuff. But the people never understood how to create value. So what happened was they sold the seeds, they sold the fertilizer, they stole the parts off the tractor and sell the. So what they didn't know, he gave them tools, but he didn't give them the understanding that I'm trying to impart here. And so the people found the quickest way to make up money. The quickest way to make up money was to sell the seed, sell the fertilizer, and sell the parts of the tractor. They get a quick money, but they didn't add any value.
Oh,
And so what they did was to create now a debt for the country because Manley had borrowed those money. So he
Right.
borrowed the money, they then destroyed the asset. Yeah? They never build any value, they never plant nothing, they never use the fertilizer, they never use so all of that dissipated and the country now was left with a debt. Now that's destructive. The UIC's approach is we're not going to put money in people's hands, so we're going to give them knowledge, understanding, guidance, and help them to use their own money. Combine that with other people's money, right? From the diaspora, for example. So let's say a local club generated from themselves $5 million. And from the diaspora, they get another $10 million. Now they have $15 million in the fund. And they use that $50 billion now to spawn 5 or 6 very successful local businesses, which hired 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 persons that are exporting quality packaged products, for example, to the Florida market or to the Texas market. And that now becomes a sustainable development as opposed to the handout kind of thing, which leads them nowhere but having money to buy imported goods.
Absolutely right. Yes, yes. Yeah,
Yes,
we
yes.
have to move
That's
away from
genius,
the import.
genius. Go
We
ahead.
have to move away from the imports and underpinning that the foundation of building the business is a business plan.
Yes,
Business plan is very critical, and that you need to look at the various components of it, and clearly define what you want to do, what you intend to do, where you intend to go, how you intend to reach your goals, and of course you need your projections of financial part,
absolutely.
to take you there. So all of those are important factors underpinning the whole jump program.
Absolutely. One of the things we're going to be doing in the program is during our weekly meetings, for example, persons will learn how to make a business plan. And by that I mean a practical business plan, not the highfalutin one you see in the textbook, a plan that works on the ground level, an
Correct.
operational plan, right?
Correct.
Not one to impress the bank to get a loan, but to help you to succeed. They're also going to learn the basics of accounting, how to ensure that you have accounted for your revenues properly, your expenses properly, your cost drivers, so you can do your pricing properly, you can adjust for foreign exchange impacts, how to ensure that you have a proper balance sheet to show your assets versus your liability and what is your equity that you're developing in the business by virtue of the value that you're imparting. You're also going to learn product design, how to design a product based on market specifications and all that kind of stuff. So we really want to move away from the poor quality and doing shoddy work to now going to high level, be on par with the Chinese, the Japanese, the American. I met a young man the other day, he's in Clarendon, he's doing beekeeping like myself. He's about 31 years old. And he's an actuarial graduate. He graduated from UWI with an actuarial science degree. And he is just so spot on with his articulate. He is very focused on quality in his design. So he has figured out all the how to put a proper cap on his thing to prevent the rain from damaging the comb on the inside of the hives. He has a proper trap in the front to catch the pollen, so he can then harvest that for sale as part of his product line. All the right things he has done. So what I want to do with him now is help him to expand from his 36 boxes to say 200 boxes over the next 8 to 12 months. And so he now becomes a major producer, similar to myself here in St. Elizabeth. And this can add to Jamaica's honey production and the output next month. Those are the kinds of projects the JUMP program is going to help to spawn in Jamaica and make us independent of politicians, independent of our colonial masters, and become financially independent as individuals, as communities, and as a country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Patterson, I'm so impressed with that, sir. And one of the things, as you mentioned about cleanliness, that was one of the things that drew me to you, because I'm very particular about my environment. And one of the things is whenever I go to certain places, like here in the United States, that is owned by our home folks or people from Africa, there's always that culture of, we call it chaka chaka. And I think you guys understand. But we can teach people, and that's one of the things I'm going to encourage the JUMP program to teach stress clearly. Because if you know that you have a business that is under this program, and you take pride in the way that this business expand, and I mean, you get more customers. I mean, you'll attract people who look at you and say, man, this guy look like he really means doing a good business. So I just want to touch on that, Mr. Patterson. They say that great minds think alike, but fools seldom differ, right? And that's one of the things that attracted me to you when you talk about cleanliness, because I went to Toronto some years ago, and I was amazed to see how clean the place was. And I said, oh, he's coming from Canada, so he knows where cleanliness is, right? So what I'm saying is that, and these are things that they can build in the JUMP program. Also, the other thing that they can build in the JUMP program is marketing. I was so stunned the other day when I heard that maybe 80% of the products that are in the hotels here are imported, and they're not even good quality either. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is how I know the JUMP program will help to scale people to work together. Like in St. Elizabeth, they might want to plant Scotch bonnet. A group of people might come together and rent 4 or 5 acres, and they all sectionize it and do this Scotch bonnet. And then guess what? They all market it together. You know what I mean? And this is just an idea. And of course, Jamaica is so diverse. You have St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is just the gem of fruit bats.
We have everything here. We have everything.
We have everything here. You know what I mean?
No, I like the point you made earlier, though, Mr. Roman. This is very important. We in Jamaica have declined when it comes on to cleanliness. I remember as a boy growing up, how proud we were of being clean.
Yes.
But over time, and this is by leadership, our leaders have led us to become dirty and nasty. For example, in my community here, you hardly ever have a garbage truck.
No trash pickup.
So what the UIC is going to do, what we're going to do when we form the government, we're going to make sure every inch of Jamaica looks like a tourist destination.
Right.
And there's not much to it, We're talking about just simply making sure you have a decent sidewalk, making sure that you have
lighting,
properly planted, properly lighting, of course, and solar lighting. You put up solar lighting, you cut your electricity bill, and we have solar lights around the
exactly. Okay.
We're going to make sure we have proper grass and proper flowers along the way. Just clean up the place, neat up the place, and make the whole place look like a place that you want.
Presentable, man. Presentable.
This is going to change even the minds of the people.
Exactly.
I think somebody says cleanliness is next to godliness.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we have a whole heap of Christians in Jamaica, whole heap of church in Jamaica. So let us demonstrate some godliness by becoming clean. But let us not forget, our cleanliness is driven by our leaders. Believe it or not, I know people say, oh no, what has been going on is over years of neglect. If your leaders don't show that they care, if your leaders don't design programs to keep the nation clean, it will not decimate, it will not, go out into the wider society. You understand? So the UIC is going to change it. Now, on your point of marketing, this is key. This is very key. We have to market our products better, but the way to do that is by having an educated nation that can produce quality. If you don't educate your people to produce quality, then you're not going to be able to compete on the world stage. And it's just that, plain and simple. Nothing else will work. But thank you. Continue, Mr. Rollins.
So the other thing that I'm recommending very, 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 very strongly, and I think it will work, is the ability of us to watch each other's back.
Welcome, Winston. Sorry. Sir Winston.
It's for us to watch each other's back. You know,
Yes,
we have to make it a part of the culture because that's how we're gonna get rid of pre-deal larceny and crime at the
absolutely.
and crime at every local level. We need to know who are the ones bringing in the guns in the community. And I remember when I was growing up, there's a district down in Westmoreland where the people always come together, and
Yes,
the bad weeds, they get
yes,
rid of them. They always do that. There's something
yes,
said we do have the potential to watch each other's back. They have the you know what I mean, you know that you have the group of people growing, I mean doing the community capital club. We have to start right there in the capital club to make them
yes.
know that this is a part of what this is about. It's not only economics, but it's also security. That's the security that
Absolutely.
I
Let
really
me
want.
expand on that for you.
Go
Let me
ahead, go ahead.
expand on that for you, Mr. Romans, because I want our listeners or viewers to get it clear. What we're talking about is our community capital clubs are going to be community watches. Yeah, it's going to
Exactly.
be community watches. So when you join a community capital club, you're a part of a social network that's going to look out for the best interest of everyone in the community. Okay, and so what you're going to have happening now, if there are anything happening, the members are going to communicate over the channel that there's something happening here. We see some strange people coming through the community.
Exactly.
We hear something that don't sound right down the south or up the south. So even you who are overseas will hear and see what is going on in your community that you have decided to be a part of. And then when you now come down from Texas, when you're coming home to a community. Right
Exactly.
now, let's say, Mr. Roman, you are interested in the community in Westmoreland. What name again? Go on
Bet-
there.
Better
Bethel
talk.
Town. So let's
Yeah.
say you're interested in a Bethel Town. Right now, you have no strong connection with the community of Betheltown. You may know one person or two persons because Jamaica has become very antisocial over the years.
Right, right.
We're no longer together as we used to be. Now, what the Capital Club is going to do, you are now attending Mr. Roman's weekly meetings as you're available. You're attending your weekly meetings. You're a part of the infrastructure that's bringing in funds to the club,
Right.
right? You're part of the infrastructure that decides on what investment the club is going to approve, right? You're a part of the learning ecosystem of the club. You're a part of the security concerns of the club. You're a part of the civic engagement of the club. And now, when you're coming down on your vacation, you just let the club know, Samir, come. The club is aware of your coming. Wherever you're going to stay is secure. You're picked up from the airport. Everything is done. And then you enjoy yourself. And then you report to your friends in Texas, boy, what a wonderful, it's a good thing he's a part of this club. It was such an adorable experience. And guess what now? All of your friend them in Texas, who are Jamaicans, want to join your club.
Absolutely. As a matter
Yeah,
of fact,
yeah,
I'm supposed to be meeting with 3 different heavy eating groups this here in Houston in the
yeah.
next month or so. And that is one of the major things because most of these people, when you talk to them, they talk about their major concern. And I know, oh, and you hear that all the time with Jamaica is crime and violence, crime and violence, crime and violence. It's like the big thing. No, I'm going to tell them, guys, listen, you can do something about it. And they're going to say, what? We can't do anything about it. I remember about 4 months ago, I was watching a Zoom of Jamaican diaspora and they were so desperate and so hopeless because they said, what is happening in Jamaica? We can't control it, whatever, whatever. Because they're depending on the government. Okay.
Yes,
Now
yes,
I'm going to tell these people this is an opportunity for you guys to do something about it. Join this UIC community clubs, get attached to a community club. If you do not, if you don't want to become an investor, why don't you? We have $3.3 billion going US dollars going to Jamaica every year that melt away. Who knows where it go, right?
yes,
What you need to do? Okay, let's take 1/3 of that. That would be great, and invest it in a community capital club. 1/3. You know,
Absolutely.
because this is a strategic investment, and this is now going to add security to us, because the clubs that you adopt now can become the ones to spread, to be educated, to kind of learn how to secure their respective community. But not only that, there's another thing that came to my mind, Mr. Patterson, and I've mentioned this one thing before. There are many of people here who can adopt people here in Jamaica. So, for example, I have my sister there, and if I'm sending her money, I can say, listen, I want to send some money to you, but I want you to join a community capital club there. This is only, it's 500 Jamaican dollars a week, which amount to $13 something US dollars a month. Say $15 a month, $15 from what I'm giving you to join the community capital club. Put that in there as your contribution, because it's going to be an investment in the long run anyway. You see what I'm talking about? So people from here can encourage their loved ones there to join the capital club. You might have four people in the house. You can have 4 people in the household who join the capital club, and you sell them $15 each every month to become a member of the capital club. So these people can also do it that way. You know what I mean? So they don't have to be investors, but if they want to keep giving their loved ones, we have no problem with that. Just give them that extra to join the club, so that we can have more people there. So tell people from here to tell their people there to find capital clubs there and join them and pay their $15. How about that, Owen? What do you think about that?
Perfect. Mr. Eljo, want to comment on that?
Yeah,
Afterwards, Mr. Chairman, get ready. I'm going to bring you in after this, Mr. Chairman. So go ahead, Mr. Eljo.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's giving them that sense of being an investor by becoming a part of the club and building on top of that, experiencing the entrepreneurship, and that's a lead in to the whole.
So we can tell the people. We can now tell the people who are listening in the diaspora that there's something that they can do about it, because they can do it. Either be direct investors, or they can sponsor somebody there to be investors, to be micro investors. You know what I mean? So come on now.
$20 count. Let's hear from the chairman now. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Can
We're not hearing you. We're not hearing you at all.
You're muted. You're muted.
Go ahead, Joseph. Say something.
Loud and clear?
Yes, a bit ruffled, but we can hear you. Go ahead, yes.
Right. So I've been listening, Mr. President, and while I had some of the information before, I've listened to the brief and this, and I tell you, if Jamaicans embrace this the way it is meant to be embraced, the way it was conceived, we would have done what Marcus Garvey had failed to do, not because he didn't try or not because he didn't have a great idea, but because of the forces that were mobilized against him. Now, those same forces will be mobilized against the UIC in our push to build a grassroots economy, which is exactly what we want to do. What we're planning to do, what Marcus Garvey wanted to do, and as a Garvey-inspired movement, I am so proud of the fact that you have done the work by virtue of your application, your subsequent research, and now the program you have unveiled. And I am so proud to be a part of it and work along with the entire UIC to bring this to fruition. Your candidates will be able to go into their communities and offer tangible and sustainable ideas and goals as to how to socially elevate themselves. And of course, along with the financial boost, the educational component is absolutely mind-blowing. I've always said it, UIC has always said it. The money management, knowledge of money and finance, of business processes, whether it be basic accounting, basic marketing, etc., is absolutely essential. Jamaicans are entrepreneurs naturally by virtue of our enslaved people's past, because that's all we had in the day, trading amongst ourselves during the periods of slavery. And we had learned to be entrepreneurs from that. And we still continue to this day to be entrepreneurs. And that's why you see so much shops and bars knocking for Jamaica. But without marketing knowledge, they don't understand that one business cannibalizes the other if it offers the same product within a certain vicinity. In the UIC's knowledge of basic business, all of that will end and persons will see tangible results from the entrepreneurial endeavor. Thank you for bringing this to the people, Mr. Patterson. Thank you, Mr. President. This is a game changer.
Mr. President, I just want to tell you how we just told you a very special.
One second, Mr. Roman. Your audio wasn't so good a while ago, Sir Winston, but we could hear you.
Yeah, I'm abroad on my usual evening chores, and I thought it important to join you on the team in this one.
Yeah. Wonderful. Mr. Romans, you were going to say something.
You know,
Okay,
I see we are joined by Mr. Ventis Brown.
Oh, Mr. Brown.
I see here in the comment section. So I have to,
go ahead.
so I have to acknowledge Mr. Brown. You know, I just say welcome to him and thank him for his effort and soon to be even more involvement in what the UIC is doing.
Excellent. Welcome, Mr. Ventus Brown. Your audio is now perfect, Mr. Chairman. There's a question on the floor. I'm going to ask you to answer this question, Mr. Chairman, because I know you can answer it just as well as I can. The question says, will you keep a database of projects for members to contribute to? What is your answer to that, Mr. Chairman?
Naturally, there will be a database of the various projects that UIC will choose to undertake. The various clubs will have different projects that they choose to undertake. And as a matter of fact, what the UIC will do is work with the various community capital clubs to ensure that the ideas that we come with, and I do say we, because we are a part of the entire solution, the ideas that we come with are refined and distilled to make sure that they're the strongest, the best, and well situated for success. So by virtue of those exercises, we will need to keep a database of these projects and use it for the betterment of the Community Capital Club, Jamaica, and the UIC.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Excellent answer. Do we have any other questions from the audience that we need to answer? Please put them on screen for us, Madam Moderator. Just put them up as they come quickly for us. Thank you so much. Yes, so this has been a very, very good discussion. We are now at the 1.5 hour mark, so we need to wrap up. But we want to take a few questions from the audience before we go. We're seeing a lot of comment here. One person says, yes, a good idea, Mr. Patterson. Look like Miss Lewis says, I like what I'm hearing. Nuff says his audio, oh, okay, talking about your audio wasn't so good. Somebody says, Lion, I'm right here with you because you know how long. Somebody said earlier on that the two parties are going to steal this idea. They of course have been stealing many of our ideas, but you know, the Jamaican people have to know now that they can't depend on or trust them to do. They can steal the idea, but only from a talking point perspective. So they will talk about it. They will announce a program like they have done. Like recently they announced a youth program. As soon as they get the political mileage out of that, it will be gone. They announce, you know, yeah, go ahead, Mr. All right.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted you to know that I wish to speak.
Go ahead.
So,
go ahead. Yeah, take it up.
Listen, firstly, the UIC is not worried about them stealing our ideas. They have been doing that for a while now. We see where they borrow heavily from the things we have to say and have said. Also, if they do steal the idea, they will steal the context, but not the spirit of it, because they will undoubtedly skew it to their own selfish guise. But here is a key thing to note. This UIC plan, even if They steal it and it's implemented and it benefits the people. The UIC is happy. So the UIC is not about staying power for power's sake. It's about changing the people's lives. We want to do it, and if somebody else does it, we're just as happy. Okay?
Yes. And
Absolutely.
just to add to that a little bit, Mr. Patterson,
Sure, go ahead.
I heard the Prime Minister was up in New York. I'm giving a pitch about the diaspora. But when he expounded on it, he said, send your money. It's all about sending the money. You understand?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, because he's not going there. He's not going further than just right there. Oh, he's launching a pitch to the diaspora. And he's more about that. How about removing the embargo from the diaspora? The embargo of trade and the embargo of those, what they charge for people to bring back technology, to bring back, you know, whatever resources we have. We should be the ones, the diaspora should be the ones that they have a red carpet for. Bring back your technology, bring back your businesses, come and create employment here. No, they don't want that. They just want us to send money, and we are sending $3.3 billion, and we don't know where did it go? Nobody knows. And the one thing I admire about the UIC, and I'm glad, Mr. Patterson, that you stay firm on that, we are not a handout party. We are not an organization that believe in handout. And we need to tell the people it's not about handout, it's about empowering. Okay, period. And I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's one of the things that I truly admire. You know, and they're not going to do that because they believe in their continued handout for years and years and years, you know what I mean, to get votes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing too that we have over them, Winston, is that we are welcoming everybody. We are
Everybody.
we unite the entire Jamaican. In the other parties, they have certain parts of the communities that they nurture because those people are their people. The other people suffer. I was watching a thing the other day on YouTube where the people in where St. Elizabeth, I think between Trelawney and St. Elizabeth, there's a bridge there for years. Deplete, and the people are crying for them to fix the bridge. The bridge, the people are saying that if they can't cross that bridge, they cannot go to certain very essential. The school children have to sit on the other side of the bridge, watching the bridge because they are afraid to cross. What I'm saying, things like that. And guess what? They are taking care of these people on the other side. Look at how much money he spent on the royal visit. And there are people in Jamaica who don't even have a standpipe, can't even get basic water. Come on now. I mean, come on now.
Let's hear. And there's a question on the floor. Will there be a limit on the number of projects per parish? No. The only limit is how much funds we accumulate and how good the quality of the projects are. Right? So we're not limited by number of projects. We're directed by how much funding we pool together.
Exactly.
And how good are the projects that are being put forward. So if you have a disproportionate quality of projects in, say, the western side of the country, meaning they're good quality projects that if we fund them, they're going to do well and create jobs and create value for export and so on. If it's in the west, it's in the west. When the east catch up, it's in the east. When the south catch up, it's in the south. So we're not going to limit any particular segment of the society. The focus is on capital formation and proper dispersal of the capital and sufficient returns to make it financially viable and sustainable. Any other questions?
One question, Mr. Patterson.
Yes.
The strategy of telling more people about it. How are you gonna reach all of these people in these different countries? You say you're gonna start in each council seat, right? And
yes, the way we're reaching all of the communities is through our 220 councillor candidates, our 63 MP candidates, our large base of diaspora support like yourself. So right. You, Mr. Romans, and you, Mr. Aljo, and Rosemary King and others will be launching your chapters in your respective states.
Yeah, I'll be doing 2 chapters.
Exactly. So you will spread the word across the U.S. and in Texas and in Florida, and we'll do our stuff online. Our councillor candidates, our MP candidates will do their stuff. You know, we're not.
Is it still raining?
Yes, but to continue, uh,
Yeah.
we are not loved by mainstream media. I'll
Right.
put it as succinctly as that. So a program like this, you will not see us on a primetime news program interviewing us and extolling the virtues of this program. And we don't care about the limelight. We care about the people. So our
Exactly.
focus is how to get the message to the people, and we'll
Right.
work in the means that allows us to get a message to the people. And our candidates that are on the ground in each division will
Right.
get the word out. I've already started putting the word out in my division. So
Yes.
my
Yes.
constituents, my supporters, and other members, because I've even spoken to supporters of the other side, open supporter of the other side.
Yes.
They say, hey, listen, I'm doing this thing. And they say, you know, Winston, boy, this is a good thing. And that is what I like. And people criticize me for embracing the other members of the other parties. And I say to them that we are
No, we
uniters.
welcome everybody.
And
Welcome
I've known these persons ever since I was a little lad walking around in the community with my dad. So how
Yes.
can I discriminate against them?
And our party is not about discrimination. The UIC
Exactly.
is about
So
welcome.
we are about helping everybody, and we will continue to work to help everybody. So we're not gonna just create a situation where we're leaving others out because we don't believe that they're a part of our movement, so to speak. We
I want to
embrace
ask
everyone.
you. I want to ask you a quick question on that, Winston. You know, a very prominent person supporting a party, whether it is a JLP or PNP, and they came and joined the UIC to get the benefit of joining the Capital Club. How do you handle? And of course, you're going to take them through the education. You know, that's part of it. You know what I mean? It's a part of it because the curriculum is there. It's going to be educating them, and they are still advocating for the old time stuff. How do you plan on handling those people?
Now, we are not going to exclude anybody, regardless of
Period.
their ideology.
Exactly.
What
Because
we
we're not
embrace
about
persons for,
ideology, we're about pragmatism. Is that
there
what
you
it
go. What we embrace persons for is how they apply themselves to their neighbor. Meaning, we
right?
expect you to treat everyone equally. Okay? We expect you to show respect, to allow persons, don't use force or fraud against anyone. So
Period.
when you come to the club, if you're not coming to defraud the club, you are welcomed. If you're
Yes,
coming to work on community projects to uplift your community, regardless of your politics, you are welcome. We do
absolutely.
urge you to support us and vote for us, to
Right.
give us the latitude to do these things on a bigger scale and a national scale and a macro scale.
Exactly. Exactly. I love
However,
that. I love
we
that.
welcome everyone. That is
Exactly.
us. Now, one thing about the UIC I need to point out is that our messaging has always been consistent on this. We're a Garvey-inspired movement, and we look to build an economy from the grassroots up. And we have always said that. We embrace credit unions and what they stand for, because they too are part of the micro lending process, micro to small business lending process. As a matter of fact, it is easier in Jamaica to get a credit union loan than a commercial loan if you're
And
not one
that's
of the big boys.
that leads me to the other question.
There you go. And what is
Community, community. Go ahead.
over a
Go ahead.
9-year period, we have seen about 4 attempts by successive administrations to take over credit unions or pressure them to operate like commercial banks, to reduce or remove the lending power of the poor man. So this is them destroying the microeconomy and the small business sector.
So
UIC aims to build that grassroots economy.
let me ask you this question, Winston. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So it means then that the UIC community capital clubs are going to work in consort with the credit unions, then, right? Because you're going to get them. They're going to get more business if they use. Who will you guys use as like the main institutions for the source of funding? I mean, where would we store our funds? In other words, then.
Well, we're not going to endorse any particular banking establishment or sector. We
Right.
will work with anyone who is willing to work with the people fairly. We do see by practice who does that right now, and we will work with them. But we won't offer an endorsement to any particular type of banking business or any particular franchise or brand.
It's all about the people.
It's all about the people. So we will work with whoever wants to work with the people.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think also building from the grassroots up also allows the community to be a lot more involved, and then that.
Welcome back, Mr. President.
Yes, welcome back.
Mr. President, he just answered some real hard questions. I just threw him some hard questions, but he really showed it. He really answered it. Go ahead.
Owen was making a very lovely point. Go ahead, Owen.
Yes. I would say yes. In building from the grassroots up, they're actually mobilizing those who would not have been mobilized by other means.
Yes.
And then by getting all involved and building the community, now it floats up to the national level. So you get a better society in total, from all of this activity.
That is absolutely correct. The level of involvement that it will create will change the social fabric of Jamaica for the better. I believe that in my heart of hearts. So that is the social investment that Joseph is talking about.
Yes. And once you start telling them this is about unity, it's uniting all of us, it's not for him or her, it's unity, 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 unity. Just sing that.
Look at it this way. Yes. I am looking forward to the Capital Club because I have a project that I wish to unveil. I won't do it in the early stages.
Right.
I will do it in the latter stages, in more mature stages of the club, and it will literally change the outlook on government involvement in community development and people's involvement in community development. It will turn the paradigm right around.
That's
we're looking forward to that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I truly believe that. And I'll be supporting you with that, Winston. Believe me. I'm raising my hand first. Okay?
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate your support always. I know you always love your community, both from the vocation you had when you were in Jamaica to your continued support throughout the years.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you guys for filling in for me. I do have these technical interruptions sometimes. I don't know if they're deliberate or accidental, but I'm very happy to be back. There's a question on screen here. It says, will the program be rolled out to people who want to start up a new business? What process will be in place to support this request? Did we already answer this question? Was this one already answered, Winston?
No, not yet.
No. Okay, so let me explain how this works. We're going to focus on proven businesses. So if you want to start up, you're going to have to start and prove that you have what is called proof of concept. So it's proof that it can work even on a small scale. And what you need now is help to scale up, right? Because if we were to invest in startups, the level is going to be much higher, and the losses are going to be tremendous in the early stages. Now, we can't afford to do that in the early stages because we have to first build and mature the capital. So we're going to first focus on proven. Let's say you have 50 chickens right now in your chicken business, and you have proven that you can raise 50, make 50, and sell 50. You will move it to 150, for example, 100, 200. And we have done it already. I started this program a couple of years ago here in my constituency. And we had one lady, for example, over in a place called Grays River, further up closer to the valley. And she's about 65 years old. And she had about 100 or 150 chickens and stuff. And we helped her to move that to 200, 250 chickens. And she was so very successful working with, I believe, with under $50,000 at first. And she turned that $50,000 easily into $250,000. At 65 years old, $250,000, move her chickens up, and she's doing quite well now, having used only 2 loans to get her to a position where she was quite sustainable and could grow herself from there. So I want to work with existing small micro enterprises and help them to grow and hire more people and become more effective. Any other questions? What measures are in place to prevent corruption from happening? Very good. So the UIC has for this particular program, the JUMP program, you'll have a board of directors drawn from qualified and competent persons in the diaspora and locally here. 2 persons who will be on that board are right here now, Mr. Keith and Mr. Gary Aljo. So they're both going to be on board. Gary is a financial expert. Keith is an all-rounder. He's a nurse by profession, an entrepreneur in his own right, and somebody who has years of experience and he connects with people. While Owen, for example, brings years. I mean, I'm talking like 35 years, so Gary?
Yes, it's about.
Yes. Am I calling you the wrong name? Owen is here. He has a twin. His twin is Gary. His twin is Gary.
Yeah.
So Owen is here. Owen has about 35 years. You have an MBA. You're a CPA as well, right? And
No, not a CPA.
but MBA.
Here is a CPA. MBA.
You're a financial consultant, right? Financial consultant. Right.
Correct.
So we have some qualified and competent people who will be on the board to ensure things go right. Fortunately for me, I am also a financial expert myself, a CPA with many years experience. So we have a number of persons who will bring high quality to the board to ensure proper oversight. You have a management team, proper checks and balances to make sure that nothing goes wrong from a financial management perspective. Of course, you have to deal with a number of risks. You will have all kinds of risks. You have market risks, you have exchange rate risks, you have inherent risk in the kind of business that we're doing. So we'll have to manage a number of risk factors to ensure everything goes well. But I think we have the capacity to do that quite well. Next question.
Mr. Patterson, just to throw this in, I was one of those small farmers, as he will tell you. I used to rear chickens and Cornish hens and sell them to hotels when I was there because I was in agriculture. I used to be an extension officer, so I know how to, you know what I mean? And not only that, but I have great vision for our healthcare movement in Jamaica. I think we can turn it around very easily. I have a lot of suggestions for that. Be working in that field now. Yeah.
Thank you. Rosemary King, who is also one of those persons who will be on the board. She's in London. She's a member of the board for Prosperity Partners, an investment firm in the UK, Europe, spanning Europe and Africa. And she's here with us. She's asking the question here. Because the UIC is being locked out of mainstream media, how much support are we getting from YouTubers, influencers to get the message to the people? What can we do to grow this? Very good question, Rosemary. Who would like to take that? Anybody want to answer that one?
Sorry, Mr. President, didn't hear the entire question.
It's in essence, it's about how are we going to overcome the media blockage using YouTube and other influencers on social media. The answer, Rose, is that we are building a good rapport. We have great rapport with, YouTubers like Jamaican Carlos, who's a great advocate for the UIC and for good governance. We have Unstoppable, who has done a number of shows to encourage people to learn about the UIC. We've been on the Wayne Lonesome program. In fact, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to be on the Leo Gilling show again, thanks to our good friend here, Mr. Romans, who set it up the first last week. We had a great show last week where we answered tough questions about my background, the policies of the UIC, and stuff like that. Now, this week, tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the Leo Gillian show, we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of UIC policies, our manifesto, our governance model, how we're going to fix Jamaica after 78 years of massive governance failure. So these are the ways we're building, and we continue to connect more and more Jamaicans are learning about us while there's still a media blockout. So we're doing quite well.
And we're recognizing the intentional blackout, and that is only making people getting more curious. Why are they trying to black this organization? We gotta find out about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The more they block us, the more we go on to know.
It's a blessing in disguise. Yes.
Absolutely. The next question is, what about increasing the value of the Jamaican dollar? Well, I always explain to people why the Jamaican dollar is the way it is. Your exchange rate, apart from any manipulation in the market, outside of manipulation, your exchange rate is directly related to the relationship between your imports and export, your productivity or your lack thereof. So the more we import versus export, the lower our dollar will be. The more our productivity level drops, the lower our dollar will be. So if we want to increase the value of the Jamaican dollar, we have to increase our productivity. That means each and every one of us needs to put out quality work, so better quality and more work per hour. So the output per hour needs to go up. So for example, if you are producing eggs, and you can manage your egg farm so that it produces more than the average egg farm, right? So let's say Jamaica's average right now, let's say the typical farm is producing, let's say, 50,000 eggs per month. If you can increase your productivity to say 60,000 eggs per month because of better lighting, better nutrition and care, better environmental control of your birds, then you would have increased your productivity. That brings up your value as an individual. The more we increase the value of each Jamaican, is the higher the value of the dollar. There's no artificial trick. Over the years, you've heard politicians play games with it, vote for us and we will improve the dollar. And they try to do gymnastics. The UIC understands economics more than most. It's very simple. If we bring up the small man, if we get the man at the bottom to become productive, the value of the dollar will go up. If we build the grassroots economy, the value of the dollar will go up. If we increase our output and reduce our imports, the value of the dollar will go up. And we don't have to artificially reduce imports. We just have to increase the quality and quantity of our own production to meet, for example, our food consumption needs. Right now, if we can not import things we can produce here, that will increase the value of our dollar. If we don't have to import many things like onions and sugar and whatever, the value of our dollar will go up. So the only reason why our dollar continues to decline, and since between 1993 and today, our dollar has gone down 85%. I just did the math the other day, went and checked. Our dollar has gone down by 85% between 1993, when I finished college, until today. The value has gone down 85%. Between that same period, inflation has gone up 305%. So the management of our economy over that period has been so dismal that our productivity level has been falling, our imports have been increasing, our productivity level has gone down. So we need to fix that. That's the only way to bring the dollar up, by improving our productivity and making sure that every Jamaican from the bottom up starts to add value in the economy. Yeah.
Mr. Patterson, that is genius, sir. That is genius, and I really appreciate that. And just to add a little bit to that, people don't realize the level of inflation that Jamaica itself had undergone over those years. If it was not for the diaspora, people could not live in Jamaica, period. Yeah. It would have been impossible.
The diaspora has saved Jamaica over and over and over and over. And I'm not just saying that because I am one that came back from the diaspora. We're talking hard, cold financial facts. Just imagine, with inflation going at 305% over that period, what would have happened if there was no US dollars coming into the economy because of the diaspora? What would have happened if Jamaicans abroad did not send $3 billion back here, what starvation, crime, lack of hygiene. I mean, you go to some places, no. Right now in Jamaica, there are many homes with poor bathroom facilities, horrible bathroom facilities right now. Many homes with lack of proper regular running water inside for them to wash their hands after they have done things that require you to wash your hands. A simple thing like that to flush away feces, things that you have communities right now in Jamaica, in our inner city, in the capital of Jamaica, where sewage is running through the street and through the backyard. You have, if you go down to Denham Town right now, where that soldier lift his foot and step into that pregnant young lady's stomach, you see garbage and filth. You see whole homes which are infested by rats and cockroach with the ground floor rotting out. This is the condition. You go into some yard, some narrow zinc fences that are rusty, cutting the children if they're playing with sewage running in between. This is Jamaica today, 2022, after 78 years of these two groups running our country. This is serious. If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for the diaspora, many children would have starved and have gone to school without even a cup of tea and a piece of bread.
And they are trying to tell the diaspora that you are elite and you're there, and you, this lie that they're trying to spread to separate us need to stop.
Yes, which is why the UIC, we have a policy which I wish they would copy. I wish they would copy this policy tomorrow. The UIC is going to give every Jamaican overseas the right to vote in Jamaica's election, and to do so remotely. So using absentee ballots to vote from where you are, to be a part, you're already a part of the economy of Jamaica, because you see you're contributing 25 to 30% of our GDP. That's a massive piece of our GDP. So you have a right to participate in voting in the country's development. And they know, you know why they don't want you to vote? They don't want you to vote because you are going to think different from those they're manipulating on the ground right here. Right now, there are two sets of Jamaicans, those who vote and those who don't vote. The majority no longer votes. 63% no longer votes. So it's a small group carved up between the two parties, and they manipulate them on a string like puppets with little handouts here and there. They're in these oppressed community where they use $5,000 to buy their votes at election time, and some food and some rum and some excitement and so on. They can't do that with you. They know that if they allow the diaspora to vote, they have to answer tough questions, accountable questions, because a lot of Jamaicans can't be bought. They can't buy the diaspora with $5,000.
No.
They have to come better than that. They couldn't manage it. They couldn't get across. So they want to keep a small group here. They are very happy. The two parties are happy that less and less Jamaicans are voting because they have less and less Jamaicans to buy. You understand? So they just buy that group. But the UIC is going to give the entire diaspora the right to vote from where you are. And we're going to make it 100% easier for you to come home. So those who want to come home will get the red carpet treatment, 100% duty-free, to bring back your business, your assets, your house, whatever you have in your house, whatever you want to bring, you bring it all back here to Jamaica, free of charge, no taxation whatsoever, because you're bringing back value to this country. You're bringing your brain, your experience, all of that knowledge. We want you to bring it here. And so the UIC's policy is about building Jamaica, not manipulating Jamaica, which is what they're doing. They're manipulating Jamaica to extract the wealth of the citizens by playing political games with our lives.
Mr. Patterson, one thing before I go.
Yeah.
When I first traveled to the United States in the 1980s, when I went to New York, the first thing that they faced me with up there is that Jamaicans act like Jews. So they call us Black Jews. I've heard that a number of times. They call us Black Jews. And guess what? That's how the Jews does it. Every Jew belonged to Israel. Every Jewish person belonged to Israel. So they call them home, and they are a part of their development. They're a part of the, and Israel is a small country too. Why can't we do that? And Jamaicans are so diverse. Why do they want to keep us apart? I don't know. But people,
Let's have one big family.
don't forget that we are the Black Jews. We are.
We're going to be one big family where you're a Jamaican, you're a part of Jamaica, no matter where you are. So if you're in trouble in India, in Africa, in Israel, in America, we must be here for you. So we want to have one family, one Jamaica, no matter where you are as a Jamaican. And that's the UIC values. That's how we're going to build and even get a Jamaica. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for being here. Rosemary online, thank you so much. All of you who have been online tonight, Scotty, King, who else I'm seeing here? Edwin, all of you, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. We look forward to your participation in the JUMP program. Thank you, Chairman Winston. Thank you, Naika Williams in the background, managing everything. Thanks to all of you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
One point I'd like to make. One point before.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Alger.
Yeah, in addition to your explanation on the value of the dollar and the lack of productivity, a big impact on that also is corruption. Because corruption is an indirect tax. So once taxes increase, it's going to be more costly to produce or to do anything in the country. So that also.
You're so right. Corruption, for example, affects our education. When we borrowed money to build schools and only build half the number of schools because they pay back the 100% of the debt, that cost us, right? It's now tax coming out of our pockets without producing quality students, graduates, to lift the economy. So in 1962, under the JLP government, when they got, in equivalent dollars today, billions of dollars to build schools and only build half the number of schools while consuming 100% of the money and then leaving that debt to Jamaicans to pay back, that corruption kills our economy. And when PJ Patterson in the 1990s moved us away from the low interest loans of the IMF and instead went to very high interest loans so that they could run with it in Jamaica, and created a huge disparity between lending to small business and now funds being loaned to the government, that too was a major tax on Jamaicans. The end result is corruption, bad governance has destroyed this country, and the time has come, my people, for us to take charge of Jamaica, leave ourselves of those and the organizations that have kept us down for 78 years. I thank you. Good night. Talk to you. All the best.
Thank you, sir.